The transport ship slowly moved toward Earth's orbital research station. Inside the passenger area, 12 young alien students sat quietly, looking out at the blue and green planet below them. This was their first time seeing Earth, and many of them felt nervous about their new study program. Kira pressed her face against the window. Her pale blue skin reflected the light from Earth's surface. She was a Villani, a peaceful species from the outer rim of the galaxy. Like all Villani, she was tall and thin, with large dark eyes that could see very well in low light. Her people had sent her here to study alien life forms, as part of the Galactic Academic Consortium's exchange program. "Look at all that water," said Ren, sitting next to her. He was from the Karathi species, with gray skin and 4 arms. "My homeworld has no oceans like this." Kira nodded but said nothing. She was thinking about something else. On her homeworld of Velen Prime, huge predators called shadow stalkers had nearly destroyed her civilization 300 years ago. These monsters were massive, silent hunters that could kill dozens of Villani before anyone knew they were there. Even now, her people lived in underground cities, too afraid to walk on the surface during dark hours. The transport ship docked with the research station. Professor Vale, a tall human with gray hair, welcomed the students. He wore the blue uniform of the Earth Science Division and smiled as he spoke. "Welcome to Earth Research Station Alpha," he said in the common galactic language. "You will spend the next 6 months here studying Earth's ecosystem. This planet has some of the most interesting life forms in the known galaxy." The students followed him through the clean white halls of the station. Large windows showed Earth spinning slowly below them. Kira could see brown and green land masses, white clouds, and vast blue oceans. "Earth has many different environments," Professor Vale continued as they walked. "We have hot deserts, cold mountains, thick forests, and deep oceans. Each place has its own types of animals and plants." They entered a large room filled with computers and viewing screens. This was the main observation center where students would do their research. Dozens of screens showed live video feeds from cameras placed all over Earth's surface. "We use remote observation drones to study the animals," explained Professor Vale. "This way, we do not disturb their natural behavior. Each of you will choose a specific animal or ecosystem to study for your final project." Kira looked at the screens with interest. One screen showed a herd of large gray animals with long noses walking across a grassy plain. Another showed colorful birds flying through a green forest. A third screen displayed fish swimming in clear blue water. Then she saw something that made her freeze with fear. On screen number 7, a large orange and black striped animal moved silently through tall grass. It was huge, with powerful muscles and long, sharp teeth. The creature's yellow eyes scanned the area as it walked, looking for something to hunt. Kira's hands began to shake. The animal looked almost exactly like a shadow stalker. It had the same size, the same hunting posture, and the same deadly grace as the monsters that had terrorized her people for generations. "That is a tiger," said Professor Vale, noticing her stare. "They are one of Earth's apex predators. Very powerful hunters." "Apex predator?" asked Kira, her voice quiet. "Yes, they are at the top of the food chain. Nothing hunts them, but they hunt many other animals." Kira felt sick. How could humans live on a planet with such monsters? On Velen Prime, just one shadow stalker could destroy an entire settlement. But here were creatures that looked just as dangerous, and humans seemed to live with them. Other students were choosing their research topics. Ren decided to study dolphins, the intelligent ocean mammals. Lisa, a student from the Andromax sector, chose to research Earth's bird migration patterns. Tom, from the Crystal Worlds, wanted to study how plants grew in different climates. "What will you study, Kira?" asked Professor Vale. Kira looked at the tiger on the screen again. Every instinct told her to stay away from anything connected to such dangerous predators, but something else made her curious. How did these tigers fit into Earth's ecosystem? How did other animals survive with such powerful hunters around? I want to study the tigers, she said finally. Professor Vale looked surprised. Are you sure? They can be quite dangerous to observe, even from a distance. Most students prefer to study safer animals. I am sure, Kira replied, though her voice shook a little. Professor Vale nodded. Very well. I will assign you to the Tiger Observation Project. You will work with our advanced camera systems to track and record tiger behavior in the wild. That evening, Kira sat alone in her small room on the research station. Through her window, she could see Earth's surface passing by below. Somewhere down there, tigers were hunting in the darkness just like shadow stalkers, hunted on her homeworld. She opened her personal computer and began reading about tigers. The information made her even more worried. Tigers were solitary hunters, could weigh over 300 kilograms, and had night vision even better than her own. They could jump incredible distances and move without making any sound. But one thing confused her. According to the data, Earth had billions of other animals living alongside these tigers. On Valen Prime, shadow stalkers had nearly wiped out all other large life forms. How was Earth different? Kira decided she would find out. She would study these Earth predators and learn how they fit into their world. Maybe somehow this knowledge could help her people back home. She pulled up the keel, tiger observation files, and began her research. On the first video, she watched a tiger slowly walking through a forest. Its movements were smooth and careful, just like a shadow stalker. But there was something different about this tiger. It seemed calm, not desperate or aggressive like the monsters on her world. As she watched more videos, Kira noticed other animals living in the same areas as tigers. Deer, birds, smaller predators, and many other species all shared the same forests. This was impossible according to everything she knew about apex predators. The next morning, she would begin her detailed study of tiger behavior. She would use the station's most advanced observation equipment to track these creatures and understand how they lived. For the first time since leaving home, Kira felt excited about her research project. She did not know that what she would discover about tigers would change everything she believed about predators and ecosystems. The truth about Earth's apex hunters was far more interesting and shocking than anything she could imagine. Kira woke up early the next morning, feeling both nervous and excited. Today she would begin her detailed study of Earth's tigers. She quickly ate breakfast in the station cafeteria and hurried to the observation center. Professor Vale was already there, setting up the advanced monitoring equipment. Good morning, Kira. Ready to begin your tiger research? Yes, Professor, she replied, trying to keep her voice steady. I have assigned Ren to work with you, said Professor Vale. Two perspectives are always better than one when studying complex predator behavior. Ren arrived a few minutes later, carrying a datapad and looking curious. So we are studying the big striped hunters today? Kira nodded. She was glad to have Ren as her partner. His calm personality would help balance her fear and nervousness. Professor Vale showed them how to operate the advanced camera system. We have 47 cameras tracking tiger populations across different regions of Earth. You can control them remotely to focus on specific behaviors. The cameras can see in complete darkness and record sound from over a kilometer away. He pointed to a large screen showing a map of Earth with red dots marking camera locations. Each dot represents a camera cluster. We have tigers in forests, grasslands, and even some mountain areas. Start with the forest cameras in what humans call India and Russia. Kira selected the first camera cluster. The screen showed a thick green forest with tall trees and dense undergrowth. Everything looked peaceful and quiet. Tigers are most active during dawn and dusk, explained Professor Vale. They are what humans call crepuscular hunters, but they can hunt at any time if they need food. For the first hour, Kira and Ren saw nothing but empty forest. Then, at 0847 station time, movement appeared on camera 6. A massive orange and black tiger stepped into view. Kira gasped quietly. Even through the camera, the animal looked incredibly powerful. Its shoulders were thick with muscle, and its paws were the size of dinner plates. "Look at how it moves," whispered Ren. "So quiet and careful." The tiger walked slowly through the forest, stopping every few steps to smell the air and listen. Its head turned left and right, scanning for something. This was exactly how shadow stalkers behaved when hunting on Velen Prime. "What is it looking for?" asked Kira. They watched for 20 minutes as the tiger continued moving through the forest. Suddenly, it stopped and crouched low. Its ears pointed forward, and its tail twitched slightly. "It has found something," said Ren. The tiger began moving even more carefully, staying low to the ground. It used trees and bushes to hide as it moved closer to something the cameras could not. Yet then camera 9 caught sight of the tiger's target, and both students stared in shock that it was not a deer or a small animal like they expected. The tiger was stalking an enormous crocodile that was resting near a small river. The crocodile was at least 4 meters long, with thick armor-like skin and massive jaws filled with sharp teeth. "That crocodile is a predator too," said Ren, confused. "Why would the tiger hunt another predator?" On Velen Prime, shadow stalkers only hunted prey animals like herbivores or small omnivores. They never attacked other predators unless they were defending territory. The tiger continued its approach. It moved so quietly that even the sensitive camera microphones could barely detect any sound. When it was about 10 meters from the crocodile, it stopped and prepared to attack. What happened next amazed both students. The tiger launched itself through the air in a powerful leap, landing directly on the crocodile's back. Its claws dug deep into the reptile's thick skin while its teeth bit down on the back of the crocodile's neck. The crocodile thrashed wildly, trying to roll over and throw off the tiger. But the big cat held on tightly, using its weight and strength to control the reptile. Within 3 minutes, the crocodile stopped moving. "Incredible," breathed Ren. "The tiger killed a crocodile. I have never seen anything like this." Kira stared at the screen in wonder. On her homeworld, crocodile-like predators called swamp stalkers were almost as dangerous as shadow stalkers. No animal would dare attack one. "Let me check the other cameras," she said, switching to different camera clusters. Over the next 4 hours, they observed 3 more tigers in different locations. Each time, the tigers showed the same behavior patterns. They moved silently, used excellent camouflage, and hunted with incredible skill. But the most shocking discovery came when they watched a tiger in the Russian forest region. This tiger was tracking a massive python that was over 6 meters long. The snake was thick enough to swallow a human whole and had powerful muscles that could crush bones. "Another predator," noted Ren, making entries in his datapad. "This is becoming a pattern." The tiger approached the python while it was digesting a recent meal. The snake was slow and vulnerable. The tiger attacked quickly, biting the snake behind its head and using its claws to prevent the python from coiling around it. After watching several more hours of footage, Kira and Ren had documented tigers hunting crocodiles, large pythons, and even a black bear. In every case, the tigers were hunting animals that would be considered dangerous predators on most worlds. "This makes no sense," said Kira during their lunch break. "On my homeworld, apex predators do not hunt each other. They compete for territory, but they do not actively hunt and kill other predators." "Same on my world," agreed Ren. "Predators usually avoid each other to prevent injury." That afternoon, they continued their observations. They watched tigers using incredibly advanced hunting strategies. One tiger spent 2 hours carefully positioning itself downwind from a large python. Another tiger seemed to study a crocodile's behavior for over an hour before attacking. They are not just strong, observed Ren. They are intelligent hunters. Kira noticed something else. In areas where tigers were present, there seemed to be more small animals. Deer, rabbits, birds, and other prey species appeared more relaxed and numerous. Ren, look at this, she said, pointing to a camera showing a peaceful meadow where deer were grazing. These deer are feeding in the open during daylight. On my world, prey animals never do this when predators are nearby. You are right, said Ren, studying the footage. It is as if the presence of tigers makes the environment safer for smaller animals. By the end of their first day of detailed observation, Kira and Ren had recorded tigers killing 3 crocodiles, 2 large pythons, and 1 bear. They had also documented the tigers' incredible stealth abilities, intelligence, and physical power. We need to study this more, said Kira as they saved their data. This behavior is completely different from what I know about apex predators. Should we report this to Professor Vale? Asked Ren. Not yet, replied Kira. Let us gather more data first. I want to understand exactly what these tigers are doing and why. That night, Kira could not sleep. She kept thinking about what she had seen. These earth tigers had all the same hunting abilities as shadow stalkers, but they used these abilities in a completely different way. Instead of terrorizing entire ecosystems, they seemed to be making the environment safer for other animals. By hunting dangerous predators. Tomorrow, she would continue her research and try to understand this strange and wonderful behavior. 3 weeks had passed since Kira and Ren began their intensive tiger research. Every day brought new discoveries that challenged everything they thought they knew about apex predators. Kira sat in front of the main observation screen, reviewing the data they had collected. Her data pad showed impressive numbers. Tigers had been observed hunting dangerous predators 43 times in just 3 weeks. Crocodiles, pythons, bears, large lizards, and even venomous snakes all had fallen to tiger attacks. Look at this footage from yesterday, said Ren, switching to camera cluster 12. This tiger has been patrolling the same river for 5 days. The screen showed a large male tiger walking slowly along a riverbank. The area was known to have several crocodiles, but none were visible now. He has cleared them all out, observed Kira. Last week this river had 6 crocodiles. Now there are none. They switched to camera 15, which monitored the same river area 2 kilometers downstream. The footage showed deer, wild pigs, and water birds drinking peacefully at the river's edge. Young animals played in the shallow water while their mothers watched calmly. Before the tiger removed the crocodiles, no animals would come near this water, said Ren, checking the older footage. Now look at them. They are completely relaxed. Kira felt a strange emotion growing inside her. On Velen Prime, water sources were the most dangerous places because shadow stalkers often hunted there. Her people had to use protected underground wells because surface water was too risky. Ren, I want to test something, she said. Can you pull up the territorial maps for all the tigers we have been watching? Ren worked at his console for several minutes, then displayed a large map on the main screen. Different colored areas showed where each tiger spent most of its time. Now overlay the locations where we have recorded dangerous predator kills, requested Kira. Red dots appeared on the map, marking every place where tigers had killed crocodiles, pythons, bears, and other predators. The pattern was immediately obvious. Every single kill happened inside a tiger's territory, breathed Ren. They are not just hunting these predators for food. They are removing them from their areas. Exactly, said Kira, excitement growing in her voice. Watch this. She pulled up footage from a tiger territory in the southern forest region. 3 weeks ago, this area had thick undergrowth and few visible animals. Now the same cameras showed open spaces where small animals moved freely. Birds nested in low branches, rabbits fed in clearings, and young deer played without fear. The tigers are creating safe zones, realized Ren. By eliminating dangerous predators, they make their territories safer for prey animals. This was revolutionary thinking. On every world that Kira knew about, predators made environments more dangerous. Not safer. But Earth's tigers seem to work differently. "Let me show you something else," said Kira. She accessed her private research files, data she had been analyzing in secret during her free time. The screen displayed detailed behavioral comparisons between tigers and shadow stalkers. Both species had similar hunting techniques: silent movement, excellent camouflage, powerful attacks, and superior night vision. But there was one critical difference. Shadow stalkers hunt everything, explained Kira. Prey animals, smaller predators, even other shadow stalkers sometimes. They create fear in entire ecosystems, but tigers ... She highlighted specific data. Points. Tigers hunt prey animals for food, but they hunt dangerous predators for territory control. They are using predator abilities to control other predators. Ren stared at the data. So tigers are predators that specialize in hunting predators? Yes, but only certain types, said Kira. Look at this pattern analysis. She showed him her latest discovery. Tigers consistently targeted predators that matched specific criteria. Ambush hunters, large size, dangerous to multiple species, and territorial competitors. They are removing predators that create the most fear and danger in an ecosystem, she continued. Small predators like foxes and wild cats are left alone. But anything that poses a major threat to the ecosystem gets eliminated. Over the following days, they documented this pattern repeatedly. A tiger in the mountain region spent 4 days tracking and killing a large bear that had been terrorizing a valley. Another tiger eliminated 3 large pythons from a forest area, then seemed to ignore smaller snakes completely. I want to see what happens in areas without tigers, said Kira one afternoon. They accessed cameras from regions where no tigers lived. The difference was striking. These areas had many more dangerous predators per square kilometer. Crocodiles controlled rivers, large pythons dominated forest areas, and bears claimed entire valleys. Prey animals in these regions stayed hidden most of the time, venturing out only when absolutely necessary. The environments without tigers look more like my homeworld, observed Kira quietly. Ren noticed something else. Look at the predator behavior in non-tiger areas. The crocodiles and pythons are much more aggressive. They hunt more frequently and show less caution. That makes sense, replied Kira. Without tigers to threaten them, these predators can act without fear. They become bolder and more dangerous. As their research continued, Kira began conducting secret comparative analysis during her personal time. She used the station's computers to run simulations comparing tiger hunting patterns to shadow stalker behavior. The results amazed her. Tigers used exactly the same stealth techniques as shadow stalkers. Their movement patterns, ambush strategies, and attack methods were nearly identical. But while shadow stalkers use these abilities to terrorize ecosystems, tigers use them to stabilize ecosystems. It is like shadow stalkers evolved differently on Earth, she murmured to herself late one night. Instead of becoming ecosystem destroyers, they became ecosystem protectors. During week 4 of their research, Kira and Ren witnessed the most dramatic example yet of tiger behavior. A massive python, over 8 meters long, had invaded a tiger's territory. The snake was enormous, capable of killing almost any animal it encountered. The tiger tracked this python for 3 full days. It did not attack immediately like it did with smaller threats. Instead, it studied the snake's behavior, learned its movement patterns, and waited for the perfect opportunity. When the attack finally came, it was flawless. The tiger struck while the python was crossing an open area using the snake's own size against it. The tiger's precise bite severed the python's spine, and the threat was eliminated. That python could have killed dozens of animals over the next few months, noted Ren. The tiger prevented all those deaths. More than that, added Kira. That snake would have made this entire area dangerous for smaller animals. Now they can live here safely. By the end of the 4th week, their data showed a clear pattern. Tigers were apex predators that specialized in hunting other apex predators. They used the same abilities that made shadow stalkers so terrifying, but they directed these abilities toward making ecosystems safer rather than more dangerous. Kira realized she was documenting something that might be unique in the known galaxy. Predators that created safety instead of fear, that stabilized rather than destroyed, that protected rather than terrorized. The implications of this discovery were staggering, but she wanted to gather more evidence before sharing her findings with anyone else. After 6 weeks of intensive research, Kira finally felt ready to share her discoveries. She had requested a special presentation session with Professor Vale and the entire research team. Today was the day she would reveal what she had learned about Earth's tigers. The main conference room filled with students and faculty members. Kira stood at the front, feeling nervous but excited. Behind her, a large screen displayed the title of her presentation, Tiger Predation Patterns, a New Understanding of Apex Predator Behavior. Good morning, everyone, began Kira, her voice slightly shaky. For the past 6 weeks, Ren and I have been studying tiger behavior. What we discovered challenges everything we know about apex predators. She activated the first slide, showing a map of Earth with tiger territories marked in green. Tigers are found in forests, grasslands, and mountain regions across several Earth continents. We focused our study on 47 different tiger territories, using continuous observation over 1,200 hours of footage. Professor Vale leaned forward with interest. The other students listened quietly, curious about what Kira had found. First, let me show you typical tiger prey, said Kira, switching to video footage. The screen showed tigers hunting deer, wild pigs, and other herbivores. This is what we expected to see. Tigers hunting normal prey animals for food. Several students nodded. This was standard predator behavior found on most worlds. But then we observed something unusual, continued Kira. She switched to footage of a tiger attacking a large crocodile. Tigers also hunt other predators. Not occasionally, but regularly and systematically. The room became very quiet. On the screen, the tiger killed the crocodile with expert precision. Over 6 weeks, we documented tigers killing crocodiles, pythons, bears, large lizards, and venomous snakes, explained Kira. These were not random encounters. The tigers actively sought out and eliminated these dangerous predators from their territories. Tom, the student from the Crystal Worlds, raised his hand. Maybe they were just competing for food sources? That is what we thought initially, replied Kira. But look at this data. She displayed a chart showing tiger feeding patterns. Tigers eat very little of the predators they kill. They consume maybe 10% of a crocodile's meat, then leave. The rest, this is not hunting for food. Lisa, the Andromax student, looked confused. Then why do they kill these predators? Territory control, answered Kira. Watch what happens after tigers eliminate dangerous predators from an area. The screen showed before and after footage of the same forest region. In the before footage, few animals were visible, and those that appeared looked nervous and alert. In the after footage, taken 3 weeks later, the same area was full of activity. Deer grazed peacefully, birds nested in low branches, and young animals played openly. The removal of dangerous predators creates safer environments for prey species, explained Kira. Tigers are not just apex predators. They are apex predator controllers. Professor Vale stood up. Kira, are you suggesting that tigers actively manage their ecosystems? Yes, Professor. But it goes deeper than that. Kira's voice grew stronger as she reached the core of her discovery. Let me show you comparative data from my homeworld. She displayed images of shadow stalkers alongside images of tigers. The similarities were obvious. Both were large, striped, powerful predators with similar body structures. Shadow stalkers on Velen Prime hunt everything in their territories. They create fear and destroy ecosystem balance. But tigers use the exact same hunting abilities for a completely different purpose. The room was silent as Kira continued her explanation. I analyzed the hunting techniques used by both species. Tigers move with the same stealth as shadow stalkers. They use identical ambush strategies. Their attack patterns are nearly the same. But while shadow stalkers use these abilities to terrorize ecosystems, tigers use them to stabilize ecosystems. Ren stood up to support his research partner. We documented tigers using advanced planning and strategy when hunting dangerous predators. They study their targets for days, wait for perfect opportunities, and execute flawless attacks. This suggests high intelligence, noted Professor Vale. These are not simple territorial disputes. Exactly, said Kira. Tigers are intelligent, enough to understand which predators pose the greatest threat to ecosystem stability. They target ambush hunters, large constrictors, and territorial predators while leaving smaller, less dangerous predators alone. She showed footage of a tiger ignoring a fox while actively tracking a large python in the same area. The tiger walked right past this fox 3 times during its hunt for the python. It clearly distinguished between predators that needed to be eliminated and those that could be tolerated. Dr. Kim, a visiting researcher, raised her hand. What you are describing sounds like ecosystem engineering. Some Earth species modify their environments, but this level of predator control is unprecedented. That brings me to my most important finding, said Kira, switching to her final set of data. I believe tigers represent a unique evolutionary development. They are shadow stalker-type predators that evolved to hunt other shadow stalker-type predators. The implications hit the room like a wave. Several students began talking quietly among themselves. On most worlds, continued Kira, apex predators become ecosystem destroyers when they reach a certain level of ability. But on Earth, some apex predators evolve to become ecosystem stabilizers by controlling other apex predators. Professor, Vale looked stunned. Kira, if your analysis is correct, this represents a completely new understanding of predator evolution. There is more, said Kira. I ran computer simulations comparing ecosystems with and without tiger-type predator control. Systems with predator controllers show much higher biodiversity and stability. She displayed charts showing species diversity in tiger territories versus non-tiger areas. The difference was dramatic. Areas without tigers have fewer total species and more ecosystem instability. The presence of uncontrolled dangerous predators creates fear cascades that affect the entire food web. Tom asked, what is a fear cascade? When dangerous predators are present, prey animals change their behavior. They hide more, feed less, and reproduce less successfully. This affects plant growth, which affects smaller animals, which affects the entire ecosystem. But in tiger territories, added Ren, these fear cascades are interrupted. The removal of dangerous predators allows normal ecosystem function to resume. Professor Vale walked to the front of the room. Kira, this research needs to be shared with the Galactic Academic Consortium immediately. If Earth has developed predators that stabilize rather than destabilize ecosystems, this could revolutionize our understanding of planetary ecology. I agree, said Dr. Kim. This could have applications for worlds struggling with predator overpopulation problems. Kira felt a mixture of pride and nervousness. Her research was being taken seriously by respected scientists. I would like to continue this research, she said. There are still many questions to answer. How did tigers evolve this behavior? Are there other Earth predators that show similar patterns? Could this type of predator control be introduced to other worlds? Professor Vale nodded enthusiastically. I will contact the consortium today. This discovery could change how we approach ecosystem management across the galaxy. As the presentation ended and people began filing out of the room, Kira felt amazed by what she had accomplished. She had started this research because tigers reminded her of the monsters from her homeworld. Now she realized that tigers were actually the solution to the monster problem. 2 months had passed since Kira's presentation to the research team. The final weeks of the student exchange program were approaching, and Kira spent most of her time in the observation center. Continuing her tiger research, Professor Vale had contacted the Galactic Academic Consortium immediately after her presentation. Within days, xenobiology experts from across known space were requesting copies of her data. The concept of predator regulation had created intense discussions in academic circles throughout the galaxy. Kira sat before the main observation screen, watching her favorite tiger, a large male she had been studying for over 2 months. She had named him Ranger in her private notes, though she never used that name in official reports. Still watching Ranger? Asked Ren, sitting down beside her. His territory management is perfect, replied Kira. Look at this area now compared to when we first started observing. The screen showed a peaceful forest clearing where dozens of animals moved freely. Deer grazed without constantly looking up for danger. Young animals played openly while their parents watched calmly. Birds nested in low branches, something that would be impossible on worlds with uncontrolled predators. He has not had to eliminate a dangerous predator in 3 weeks, noted Ren. His territory is completely stable now. Kira nodded. Ranger had systematically removed 2 crocodiles, 1 large python, and an aggressive bear from his territory over the past 2 months. Since then, the area had transformed into what could only be described as a safe zone. I have been thinking about this for weeks, said Kira quietly. What we discovered here changes everything I believed about predators and ecosystems. She pulled up her final research summary on a side screen. The data was impressive. Tigers had eliminated dangerous predators from their territories with 98% success rate. Areas under tiger control showed 340% higher prey animal populations and 280% greater species diversity compared to areas without tigers. Your work will help many worlds, said Ren. The consortium is already planning to test predator regulation strategies on 3 different planets. This was true. Just last week, Professor Vale had received requests from 12 different worlds, asking about the possibility of introducing tiger-like predator control to their ecosystems. Planets that had struggled with predator overpopulation for centuries were suddenly interested in Earth's approach to ecosystem management. Kira switched to a communication from her homeworld that had arrived that morning. The message was from Dr. Naila, the head of Velen Prime's Ecosystem Research Institute. Kira, the message began, your research has reached us here on Velen Prime. The Council of Settlements is very interested in your findings about predator regulation. We want to know, could this approach work on our world? Could we develop predators that hunt shadow stalkers instead of being hunted by them? The message continued with technical questions about tiger behavior, ecosystem impact, and the possibility of genetic modification or selective breeding programs. My people want to walk on the surface again, Kira said to Ren. We have lived underground for 300 years because of shadow stalkers. Your research might give us hope for reclaiming our world. What will you tell them? Asked Ren. Kira had been thinking about this question for days. I will tell them the truth. Tigers work on Earth because they evolved here naturally. The entire ecosystem developed together over millions of years. Trying to copy this system on other worlds will be very difficult. She had spent weeks studying Earth's evolutionary history. Tigers had not developed their predator hunting behavior overnight. It was the result of complex evolutionary pressures and ecosystem interactions that took place over vast periods of time. But it might still be possible, she continued. If we understand the principles behind predator regulation, maybe we can develop new approaches for other worlds. Professor Vale entered the observation center carrying a datapad with an excited expression. "Kira, I have wonderful news," he said. "The Galactic Academic Consortium has approved funding for a 5-year research program based on your work. They want to study predator regulation principles on 15 different worlds." 15 worlds? Asked Kira, surprised. Yes, planets with predator overpopulation problems, ecosystem collapse from apex predator dominance, and unstable food webs. Your tiger research has given the scientific community a completely new way to think about these problems. Professor Vale sat down and activated his datapad. They also want to establish a permanent research station here at Earth to continue studying predator regulation in natural settings. You would be welcome to lead that research if you are interested. Kira felt overwhelmed. When she first arrived at the research station, she had been terrified of studying creatures that reminded her of shadow stalkers. Now those same creatures might hold the key to helping worlds across the galaxy. There is something else, continued Professor Vale. Dr. Chun from the Titan Research Collective has proposed what he calls the Earth model for ecosystem management. The idea is to identify which predators in existing ecosystems could be trained or modified to perform predator regulation functions. Trained? Asked Ren. You mean teaching existing predators to hunt dangerous predators? Exactly. Instead of introducing new species to other worlds, we would work with predators that already exist. If we understand how tigers learn to target specific types of dangerous predators, maybe we can teach similar behaviors to predators on other worlds. Kira found this idea fascinating. On Velan Prime, there were medium-sized predators called forest hunters that had the physical ability to threaten shadow stalkers, but lacked the behavior patterns to do so effectively. It would be like creating artificial evolution, she said, teaching predators to fill the tiger role in their ecosystems. The possibilities are endless, agreed Professor Vale. Some worlds might benefit from predators that control aquatic dangers. Others might need predators that specialize in eliminating aerial threats. Over the following weeks, as the exchange program neared its end, Kira completed her final research reports. Her work had documented something that might be unique in the known galaxy: the natural evolution of ecosystem-stabilizing predators. On her last day at the research station, Kira sat alone in the observation center, watching Ranger patrol his peaceful territory. She thought about how much had changed since her arrival. She had come here afraid of predators like tigers. Now she saw them as perhaps the most important discovery in galactic xenobiology. Thank you, Ranger, she said quietly to the screen. Tiger moved through his forest with calm confidence, a guardian rather than a terror. In his territory, life flourished under the protection of a predator that had learned to hunt the hunters. Kira realized that Earth represented something remarkable, a world where evolution had solved the predator problem. Instead of allowing apex predators to destroy ecosystems, nature had created apex predators that preserved ecosystems. She gathered her research materials and prepared to return home to Velan Prime, but she carried with her something more valuable than data: the knowledge that monsters could become protectors, that predators could create safety instead of fear, and that solutions to the galaxy's most difficult problems might already exist in the natural world. As her transport ship prepared to leave Earth's orbit, Kira looked down at the blue and green planet one last time. Somewhere in those forests, tigers were maintaining the balance that kept their world beautiful and alive.